Hello, and welcome to Marek Report, where we talk about the hard-hitting issues that affect people today, and today especially young people. In fact, the topic for today is about Gen Z, aka the Zoomer generation. So I've recently collected a bunch of thoughts about them. I was gonna write perhaps an essay, but I figured maybe the video format would be a little bit more fun, and I can kind of go a bit more stream of consciousness. I'm personally a millennial. If you couldn't tell, I don't have hexagon shaped shelves, but maybe one day I will. You don't understand that joke, but I'll try to explain it later. Anyway, I guess I'll dive into it. First, you have to kind of define what a Zoomer is. So I found on YouTube, Zoomers are born in like the late 90s, all the way through the early 2000s until like 2012. That's their birth year, the latest birth year, 2012. I guess most of them are now getting close to graduating college. So that's always an interesting time. There's like a new generation coming online. I remember when I graduated college was 2008. There was a financial crisis, so the job market was really bad, and then you also had a huge influx of millennials into the labor force, as it were. So them having grown up, let's see. I mean, if say like you're born, let's say 2000, right? So you're 10 years old, maybe, or when cell phones come out. So you're very plugged into the whole world of mobile phones, of apps. They use apps regularly and very fluently. They use it for banking. And, they're born into a culture that has been getting more atomized over the years. And technology tends to accelerate the atomization. Once people get cars, they spread out. When people get technology, they use it to communicate in more niche form and abstracted and fragmented form. So basically, Zoomers got more screen time. They also grew up in a time of greater atomization, greater divorce rates. As you can imagine, not great for their mental health, and it does leave them lacking perhaps a little bit in the skills of face-to-face communication. If you can talk more over apps, it creates less incentive to get more accustomed to in-person social dynamics. So that's had an effect, and you can see that in the statistics. They're a smaller generation than the millennials, I believe, and that's due to decreased birth rates. And they're also more what we call here like diverse. So what that means is greater influx, especially Latino and Asian kids that are also in the Zoomer cohort. So that's also different. And they also grew up, so I guess growing up with all this tech could be good and bad. They also grew up in a time of political fragmentation. And I mean, you can, I don't have to talk about that. You've probably noticed that if you've been around the US for any time or anywhere in the Western world. And you can see that that's had an effect on Zoomers. I think there's been a greater, almost like a paranoia. So you have tech, they've been probably more coddled, and they're being police, like we all have been, I guess, police, but also the policing is more maybe intimate and pervasive because you're using technology. So like your friends might be able to monitor you at all times because you're in Facebook apps or in group chats. And add to that, there's like this political rancor. So they kind of came of age in that, which also isn't ideal. So I think they're more politically conscious than other groups. And I've seen, I guess, more activism perhaps to a certain extent. And these questions have still not been resolved. There's still polarization, of course. So another criticism I have of them is their view of technology. So yes, they grew up with technology. They seem to think when they talk to me or other people brilliant at it that they're technology geniuses. But in reality, there haven't really been any big Zoomer killer apps designed by Zoomers. I mean, all the things, I think even Snapchat was a millennial, but definitely Facebook was, Twitter. Like, baby boomers invented the internet, so what are we even talking about here? I mean, part of this video is let's try to understand them. Let's try to give them a reality check. Pros and cons. I think they they're sort of like their vibe is like colorful, enthusiastic, that kind of thing. I was thinking about what they've contributed to arts. Like music has not changed much for my generation. In fact, I heard that Zoomers are also nostalgic for like whatever emo Green Day or whatever. Like that stuff. They still like hip hop, though that's like kind of, I would say almost devolved to like drill or not getting into that conversation. And I'm trying to think like other form of art. I mean, I saw something very compelling about the way they designed their room. It's like very different than Millennials. I mean, they have like LED lights, more like crazy color stuff going on. Millennials apparently were more minimalistic, which maybe looking at this video you can see how I am. And I guess that's it. Let me see. So the big joke is millennials have hexagon shaped shelves. They're more likely to have honeycomb shelving units. Maybe it's not that funny.